What's going on, everybody? Bienvenidos to another episode of MIYA. Today is going to be a little bit crazy with myself and the ladies, Abbie Knights and
Lornalitz. Hey guys, Lornalitz here.
Hi, my name is Ariel Yasmine.
And today we're going to be talking about, well, the episode is titled Silencio en Vivo, which also means live in silence for those of you that may not understand the Spanish portion of it. But it's all about women having a muted voice in a major part of today's culture. And I think it's just the way that society has kind of set things up. So how do you ladies feel about women having a seat at the table but having no opinion? It's still like you're there, but you're not, because you're not really allowed to speak.
I think it's ridiculous. I think we're living in a time, this is 2021. There should not be a reason why women can't have a voice. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's absolutely absurd. We are intelligent. We're opinionated. Speaking for myself, I'm very opinionated. I have a very good work ethic. I bring a lot to the table, so I don't see why I need to just sit at the table and not have a voice. Doesn't make any sense to me.
What about you, Ariel? What do you think? Have you had any experience with this?
Oh, definitely. I've been just working in the entertainment industry, and I also work in business. And even my family experiences, like, 'cause we're all petite females, so a lot of times people aren't treated like we're a little kid or something, or they assume that we're stupid or just inexperienced. And I'm very business savvy. I know that I can see an idea, and my head immediately starts spinning. 'Cause I know what will work great for whatever we're trying to like think up for, whether it's a project or a filming idea or anything like that. But I feel like a lot of times it's not like my voice just doesn't want to be heard. It's like when I speak, sometimes people just don't listen, or they treat it like as like it's just illegitimate. They're like, like, yeah, she's talking, but we're not gonna like pay any attention to it,
Mm-hmm.
So with my job, I have actually my boss is a girl, so it's amazing having a female boss, because I'm like, she just immediately gets me. She listens to my idea. She respects them. In our team, we have our brand manager is a girl as well, and in my team, we're actually called the Power Puffs, which is amazing. And so it's definitely uplifting to be working with a bunch of women. Even like for my first job I ever had when I was 19, I worked at Hooters, and it was fun working with a bunch of different girls. Like, that was really fun.
I wish I could say that that's a norm for me too. That sounds really cool.
It's fun, and it creates like a great environment. And then when girls are also confident in themselves and everything, and they have their own things going on, like, there's no cattiness or anything. People they just like working together, and it's just a fun atmosphere, But yeah, like the biggest issue I see is just like you can say something, and it's just like people do not hear or respect you for it. Like they like a lot of times I meet men that have a giant ego where they assume that everything they think of is just genius, perfect, everything, like, and they just don't want to listen to anything that you have to say.
Yeah.
So that's like the biggest frustration I see.
Yeah.
It gets old,
Quick too. I've been in a lot of those rooms myself, and yeah, it's definitely a thing, I think, at least for me. But I'm not gonna lie, I make it a point to command attention some way, somehow, because you gonna listen to me, okay? But it's a real thing in this world. But they are saying that women in power can definitely help change the world, because we have the ability to multitask, and we do have a voice, and we do have skills that are a little bit different than what men have. But I think the way that society and culturally things were set up back in, a more traditional society, women's opinions weren't respected the same way. And a lot of people don't realize how powerful words really are when you're in a room full of people and you're trying to express yourself. And like Ariel was saying, it's like the words are coming out, but they're kind of falling on deaf ears, because literally nobody wants to hear what you have to say. So we've got a little video that we would like for you guys to check out. And I think hearing these women is going to be largely impactful to what so many of us deal with on a regular basis in today's society. So check it out.
so bossy. Your dad will have to chase the boys away when you're older. You look so pretty. He picks on you because he likes you.
You need to wax your eyebrows.
Don't wear that to school. You're gonna distract the boys.
Oh, you like video games? The boys must love that.
Don't be a slut.
No guy wants to have sex with a virgin.
How much did you have to drink that night?
Well, what were you wearing that night?
Why are you getting so emotional?
Stop being such an attention whore.
Don't be so bitchy.
Stop being so dramatic.
It must be that time of the month.
You'd be really pretty if you just made an effort.
You'd be much prettier if you smiled.
You're so exotic. Where are you from?
Nice rack.
I was just trying to give you a compliment.
You don't want to go out with me? You're ugly anyway.
Is that all you're going to eat?
You eat a lot for a girl. You drink whiskey?
You like football?
Your drive is kind of intimidating. What war on reproductive rights?
Can women have it all?
Are you like a feminist? Oh, you travel alone? Is that like an eat, pray, love thing?
Always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
You don't want kids? Aren't you worried you won't be fulfilled?
Your biological clock is ticking.
You're not taking your husband's last name?
You don't even look like you had a baby.
Are you planning on working after the baby's born?
You'd be so bored at home.
You're going to let someone else raise your kids when you go back to work?
Does your husband mind that you make more money than him?
Your husband cooks dinner? You really have him well trained.
You're dating a younger man?
You're such a cougar.
He traded her in for a younger model.
You should feel grateful you were catcalled.
Do you feel fulfilled that you were just a stay-at-home mom?
Isn't that outfit a little young for you?
You still wear makeup. How adorable.
You must have been beautiful when you were younger.
Man, that last statement, I can relate to too much of that, which is actually kind of scary. What'd you ladies think?
Yeah, so can I.
Powerful video.
So can I. Yeah, I feel like, a lot of the times people, especially the older generation, they were told all those things when they went out. My mother probably told me like half of the things in that video. And it's because that's what was taught to her. And so she teaches it to me, or like she, has a very strong opinion about it and she feels that it's right. So for the part that said, you're going to have someone else raise your child when you go back to work. Let me tell you, I have a 3-year-old. I worked all throughout my pregnancy. I gave birth a week after a huge campaign with Target. I was literally on set and I was 10 months pregnant and I shot for Target, did a huge campaign. The very next week I gave birth. My client called me the very next day and said, hey, can you come back to work? Not knowing that I just gave birth. Then I decided to go back to work when my son was 3 months old. So I found an amazing nanny and she helped me raise my son. So yes, I did go back to work when my son was 3 months old and I was breastfeeding on set. They gave, pretty much all my clients have nursing rooms now because it's required by the law. And so I would pump on set and I would have milk stored in my house for my son so the nanny could feed him. My son is 3 years old now, almost 3.5 in December, and he's absolutely proud of his mother. There's not 1 ounce of me that feels regretful to go back to work. My mother was the one that told me that I should not be going back to work until he turned 3. I can't even imagine myself being a stay-at-home mom for 3 years. I love to work. I love to do what I do for a living. And my son is so proud of me. So yeah, a lot of the things said in the video definitely resonated with me for sure. Definitely.
Yeah, that video for everybody that was watching was courtesy of HuffPost. We love seeing the light that they're shining on women. Ariel, what do you think about the situation that we find ourselves in where this whole Me Too movement is so largely publicized, but yet still women don't have a real platform to be heard, if we're being completely honest? What are your thoughts on that? Because I'm sure, like you were saying before, you feel like in a lot of situations you don't always get heard the way that you wish you would be. So considering everything those women were saying in the video, which I think all of us have heard, especially lately, everybody is on me about my biological clock. Abs, you're getting old. Aren't you gonna have kids? Oh my God, are you still single? are you working so much, but do you have a life? And I mean, it's like the list is endless, and it gets really frustrating after a while, because I'm like, listen, when I have kids, if I have kids, hopefully I do, it's going to be on my time, not on yours. Exactly. You don't need to be telling me I'm old or any of those other things they were saying. It's like, oh, that's all you ate? Oh my God, you're going to eat all that? Like, I feel like we just can't win. So what's your opinion on this? Because I know you have a lot to say on this topic too, Ariel.
I think just in my experiences, I mostly noticed that I was just really sexualized at a young age. So, like, it's like things that random guys would say to me. Like, I'd be in a grocery store, and I remember I was like 15 or 16, and this old man walked up to me, ironically, in the candy aisle, and he was like, "Oh, what's your name? Are you married?" I'm like, "I'm obviously a child," And I told him, I was like, "I'm a minor." Like, and the way he said, I was like, "You need to back yourself up," I was just like hearing things like, "Oh wow, you're gonna be a little heartbreaker," or like just like saying weird things. Just like there's like things
inappropriate.
There's just things that are just like really inappropriate, and it's like, and I mean I didn't experience it tons, but I mean a lot of it was just like, I mean, a lot of it I just don't pay attention to because I'm so used to it, especially because of social media. Like, I'll get random DMs from guys that I don't even know, and then they'll be like, "Oh, well, you're ugly anyway." Or, like, I'll see DMs from earlier, and they'll be giving me compliments, and then I don't respond. And then they're just like, bitch. Like, they'll just like, start cussing me out.
That's so
or,
weird.
I'll see some people, like, give me compliments. Yeah, like they'll be like,
they get hurt.
DMing me, saying stuff, and then I go on a live, and then
men are so sensitive.
Just, like, saying some crazy stuff.
So
it's just weird.
Yeah.
I don't know how so many people are just like so mentally off, but I'm just like it's literally insane. And like with the Me Too movement, I do feel like nowadays it's a lot easier for women to be heard, and I haven't experienced anything weird or pervy in the acting industry because a lot of people ask me about that, and I'm like I've never experienced anything weird, but I always had a good team. I always had my mom with me, and I just always followed God, and so I was never like put in any kind of situations where he just wasn't there,
Right.
And so that's another thing. One thing to talk about too is just like the Me Too movement can be tricky. It's like with Johnny Depp, for example, he was blacklisted because of Amber Heard, but then everything came out saying how she actually lied about everything.
Yeah, and it can get very, and I feel like the percentage of women that lie make it really difficult for the people that really need that situation to work in their favor, where they can actually be heard about real circumstances. I think that there's also a lot of backlash from society when women are very stern and speak up about their beliefs, regardless of what the situation is, whether it has to do with, like you were saying, the Me Too movement, or any new organizations that are coming up, or being passionate just about generalized causes in today's society, in today's world, whether it's kids or women's sexuality. I mean, we can talk about women expressing themselves sexually all day, every day, because you're too sexy, you're not sexy enough, you're too big, you're too small, you look like this, you don't look like that, your waist should be smaller, maybe you should dress like this, that dress is too tight. I mean, I feel like it gets so overwhelming when you think about it, right? To sit there and say, oh, well, how do I dress? Because if I dress like this, they're going to think I'm like this. But if I dress too conservative, then they're going to think I'm uptight. So it's kind of like there's no winning. My general rule of thumb at this point in my life is I just do whatever feels good for me. If this is what I want to wear, this is what I'm going to wear. And you're just going to have to deal with it. But for other people that maybe don't necessarily feel the same way, and they want to, or they're more self-conscious because of how society is, I think that it can be really damaging, because you start to question some of your value, your self-worth, how you're perceived, the way that you present yourself. And I just think that I wish that people were more open-minded and less judgmental, because how you dress, and I mean, there's levels to it, right? Because I know, like, everybody was talking about Lizzo when she showed up to the basketball game with both cheeks all the way out. Okay, she was just out there for the world. But that's how she felt comfortable. So I'm like, do you, boo-boo, live your best life, YOLO, more power to you, round of applause, like, do your thing. But I think that it's really hard to find that balance of being in the middle so that you can fit in both spaces, which is crazy. Like, I don't want to fit in a box. I want to be able to stretch my arms outside the lines. Maybe tomorrow I want to be a circle, and maybe the next day I want to be a star, and then maybe I want to be a square again. So I think that it just becomes really, really tricky, because when women do speak up, I feel like there is a lot of backlash, especially with the internet trolls on social media. What advice would you ladies give to women that are, let's say, Lornalitz, what advice would you give for women that are worried about speaking their truth because of backlash? And Ariel, what advice would you give women that are insecure about how they present themselves in today's world?
Yeah. Well, the advice I could give to women, or, I would have to say young girls, because women, in my opinion, when you say women, I'm thinking women that are like over 25 years old and that have probably experienced sexual abuse or have experienced some type of uncomfortability and didn't even realize that they were going through it. Now, for the younger generation, I could say that it's important to speak up right away, because it's something that we are living in a time right now where it's okay to express what you feel that you went through. And I say this because when I was younger, I've been modeling since I was 12 years old. I didn't even know half the time that I was in a situation that I should have not been in, you know? And it wasn't until later on in life that when I would share the story with friends, they're like, girl, like, that's not right. That's not how photographers should be talking to you. And you shouldn't be feeling that type of way, So I didn't know. And half of the time, you don't know what's happening, because it happens and you're not expecting it. And it's probably someone that you trust, or someone that you look up to or you admire, or someone that's cutting your check, and you just don't know how to react to it. You don't know it's even happening to you. So I'm happy that we, that we have this safe space now, the Me Too movement, to speak up. It's not right for the ones that are lying about it, because the ones that really are going through it feel that maybe they're going to be looked at as if they're lying. But if you are going through something, or you did go through something, speak up. Do not stay silent. We are at a time right now where you don't have to stay silent. You don't have to live with that. You don't have to live with that and remember that and feel that you can't share it.
Right.
It's important to speak up.
What about you, Ariel? What advice would you give?
Yeah. My advice I would give to girls is just, in general, just like stay off of social media more. Like, I feel like most confidence and everything just comes from just working on yourself. Like, for me, most of my confidence comes from my intellect. Like, like being pretty or trying to have like a certain kind of image honestly doesn't mean anything in the end. It's like what I'm concerned about, and like, what am I gonna be doing when I'm 50? Like, what kind of life am I gonna have like 30 years from now? And it's just like, and I want to have a certain kind of life for my future, for my family, for my future children. I want to do things right by God, and I just like, there's so many things that don't really matter in the end. And like, one of my biggest advice to people, especially in high school, I'm like, most of these people in high school do not matter later on. I only talk to a couple people, and that's only sometimes. Like, what seems like it is your whole world, in a few years from now, you could have a completely different circle, And it's like, if someone's around you that's making you feel horrible, or they're just like toxic, and they just mentally, they just continuously just bring you down, it's like, just work on trying to get yourself out of that situation. Stop comparing yourself to other people. You don't feel like you have to fill in a certain bubble. Just do what is happy for you, and what feels natural, and what feels right.
I love that.
If you want to feel, do anything that is healthy for you. And I think I'm a person, I like to plan things out. So like, I want to work on my future and like things I have.
Yeah.
I like that. That's great advice. I think that in today's society, at the end of the day, it all comes down to confidence and knowing and understanding yourself from the inside out. First and foremost, you have to learn to love you. And then it makes it a lot easier to deal with everything on the outside world, because for a long time it affected me too. And, you just grow through it. And that's the best way I can really describe it. You have to grow through whatever struggles you're having. I was bullied. I've been through a lot in my life. And those things, they follow you into your adulthood. There's still certain things where people be like, oh, you look so great. And I'm like, ugh. I look in the mirror and I don't see what other people see. So I think it's very important that as individuals, and especially as women, that we start to create a safer space within each other that feels less judgmental, less competitive, and a lot more supportive, because I feel like that is really, really, really lacking in today's world. Before we head out, because we're kind of coming towards the end of this episode, I did want to ask you ladies what you think, because it's been heavy on my mind lately. Why do you feel like women in power have such a struggle when it comes to earning the respect of their peers, the same way that a man at the same stature would be considered? Why is it so intimidating, do you think, when a woman gets into a position like that? Do you think it's envy? Do you think they feel threatened? What are your thoughts? Because I've never understood it. I have had a group of almost 18 men try to lie, true story, and get me fired from one of my jobs. They all came together and came up with this crazy lie. Told both of my bosses. I had a massive sit down, and I could not believe what was being said about me. It was the craziest thing ever. And then they went and lied and said that I reported somebody for sexual harassment that I never did. This man, grown man, has kids, broke down in tears on the job. Like, this is crazy, people. This man has children. I never reported him. Was he doing some stuff that was making me uncomfortable? Yes. But I addressed it with him, and that was it. And that it was all good. But they all came together. They said I never worked. I don't do this. I don't do that. Anyway, the lies were crazy. And then they went as far as to tell one of my bosses, if you hire her, I will not work for you. And so my bosses came and were like, Abbie, like, we love having you, but we don't know what to do, because these people said that they won't work for us and we need a whole crew. We can't just have you. And these people, when they would technically work, it's kind of like under me, so to speak, because they had put me in a kind of like a supervisor sort of position. I would tell them to go in their cars and take a nap, and I'd be like, I'll hit you up when I need you to come back in here. These are the same people saying that I'm such a horrible worker that they did not want to work with me. And I just thought it was so mind-blowing, because I was so kind. I would send them home early so they could go be with their families. I would work extra hours while they were home enjoying their family time and living their best life, and I'd be sitting there doing the job. And I've never understood where this stigma and stereotype comes from. So before we head out, what do you ladies think about this? Because it just irks me so bad.
Yeah. I can say that I could totally relate to what you just said. And I feel like it's because they don't know where to put us, Abbie. They don't know what box to put us in, what category, what category we're in, because we are outspoken, we are strong-willed, we have a good work ethic. We have an opinion. And I feel like it can be intimidating for people, especially men. When a woman has a lot to say, when she has a lot to bring to the table, they don't know what box to put us in. But we're not meant to be in a box. We're meant to stand out. Amen. I just feel like, I just feel like it has a lot to do with them. It has a lot to do with like how they perceive themselves. I don't think it has anything to do with us, Abbie. I don't think it has anything to do with, how we perform. I think we're doing a great job. It's reflected on them. It's their insecurities. It's what they need to fix in themselves. That's what I feel.
Yeah. Any thoughts on this, Ariel? Anything you'd like to add?
I think that, especially with working with men, sometimes it can just feel intimidated really easily. Like, I haven't dated guys that they feel intimidated. Guys can get jealous, so they feel like if they see your potential and they realize how far you can go in the industry or just in the workforce in general. A lot of people don't want you to have an opinion because they want to reduce you to an object. They don't want you to be like a thinking, breathing human being that has opinions and is smart.
Yes.
Like, that bothers them too much, you know? So, I mean, my
Thinking, breathing, smart human being.
yeah, I'm like,
throw it all away.
I'm like, yeah, because when they find out you're not a robot or something, I'm like, they get pissed. But my advice is to just continue doing you, continue working on, you know, just continue your workflow. Don't let anything slow you down, because that's exactly what they want to do. So, and you know what, your work will speak for itself. I've had it where people have come back to me a while later apologizing because, you know, people lied or whatever, and I'm like, sorry, I'm already above that now.
Yeah.
And they know they can't do anything about it. So you know what, continue doing you, continue having a good positive mindset, and then everything always sorts itself out. So there's nothing to stress over, you know? Just like, well, that's that then.
I love that. And if you're ever having down days, all you got to do is cue up the best song to really put you in that state of mind and just be like, I'm living my best life, and just walk away. That's it. So to all the ladies out there that are doing their thing, living their best life in the best light, so life and light all in one time, we're sending you nothing but love. Big kudos to you. And we all have down days, but we just want you to know you're not alone in this. We got you. We all go through it. It's like a big old sisterhood. And we're rooting for all of you. Like what Beyonce say, who run the world? Girls. So girls. So on that note, we are out of here. That's episode 13. Silencio and Vivo. We'll be back next week, same place, same time. So make sure you guys don't go anywhere. We're out of here. Hasta luego.
Adios.